Coming up on Look Today, well, Log Bay, Lake George, is blocked off to the public as scuba diving sessions take place in the area instead of Log Bay Day. I've got details. Plus, CDTA launches the Capital Region's first ever bike sharing program in Saratoga. More on that coming up. And students of the Adirondack Folk School get an opportunity to build their own canoes. It's taking place at the Shirt Factory in Glens Falls. I've got those details all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm J. Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. On tonight's program, I sit down with Sarah Fisk. She's Executive Director, Children's Museum in Saratoga, and she's here to talk about Big Truck Day. That's happening at Maple Avenue School this coming Saturday. I also sit down with Sandy Arnold. Now she's on board of directors for Pitney Meadows Community Farm, and she's the vice chair of the Fire Feast. And we're joined by Dan Forbush. He's chair of the community outreach for the farm, and they're here to talk about the upcoming Fire Feast that's happening on the farm, and it's happening tomorrow. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, today marks what would have been Log Bay Day in Lake George. Now, as we told you last week, the event has officially been banned by a resolution passed by the Lake George Park Commission. Now, the event used to be at the Shelving Rock Bay, section known as Log Bay. Now the area is sectioned off today as the Park Commission ran scuba diver training sessions. Well, we spoke to Joe Johns. He's Director of Law Enforcement for the Lake George Park Commission.
So far today we've blocked off the bay, both bays, Log Bay and Shelving Rock Bay, since 7 o'clock this morning. We've had a few people come by, mostly sightseers, to see how it's working and say thank you for doing this. We've had probably 2 to 3 groups come in that wanted to come into the bay for Log Bay Day. We simply told them that the bay was closed. They're welcome to go anywhere else on the lake. Make sure they have the sober operator in the boat and behave where they're at.
Look how beautiful the lake looks. All right, we also spoke to Dave Wick. Now he's the Executive Director of the Park Commission.
We have a similar number of officers out here this year as we did in the previous years. The nice thing is that once we've decided that this event is going to go away, we can hopefully lessen the patrol presence out here in future years and save some dollars.
In other news, well, CDTA has launched the Capital Region's first ever bike sharing program in Saratoga. Now, the program provides residents and tourists alike an alternative and healthier form of transportation. Bike stations can be found all around downtown Saratoga. Now, the program is part of the Green Belt Trail Initiative. Well, Saratoga Plan is one of the key organizations involved in this initiative. We spoke to John Kettlewell. He's Constituent Engagement Director for Saratoga Plan, and we spoke to him about the benefits this program will have on tourism.
I think it's a fantastic thing for visitors to Saratoga who may not have brought a bike with them but want to get out, get some exercise after maybe sitting all day in a car or sitting at the track. It's a healthy, natural way to get to see the area.
Great news. All right, switching from news to weather. Today saw clear skies. Yes, I said clear skies. And hot temperatures. Yes, I said hot temperatures. Summer has arrived. Let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor. Here's your first look weather forecast. As you look at the national map, here is a stationary front boundary over the Gulf of Mexico and also that low pressure system. That's actually tropical storm becoming tropical depression Emily as it makes its way through the Florida Peninsula and into just offshore of the North and South Carolina coast. We'll have high pressure control for much of the Midwest, the Southeast, even the portions of the Northeast, despite a stationary front boundary is making its way through southeastern Canada and a cold front boundary making its way through parts of the Midwest. As you look more closer to our viewing area, temperatures relatively mild, about 60 to 65 through much of the Northeast. As we look on a higher view towards the Capital District, mainly in the lower 60s. We'll see a 63 overnight low in Whitehall, and towards Glens Falls, we'll see an overnight low also about 62 degrees. Some areas of our higher elevation will see lows in the mid to upper 50s. We'll see a few evening storms because there could be some pop-up showers and storms in the viewing area. Patchy fog early, mostly sunny, 83 on Tuesday. And the out-the-door forecast looks to be a nice start with temperatures mainly in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Our extended forecast will see rain chances return on Wednesday and ramp up as we head towards the weekend. High temperatures will still be in the mid-80s, but by Saturday that cold front passes and we'll see highs only in the mid-70s, with still low temperatures in the lower to mid-60s. So that's the look at the forecast for First Look Weather. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponsler. Now I'll send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks, Clarence. Enjoy it while you can. All right, back to the news. Here's a fun story. Students at Adirondack Folk School are building their own canoes at the shirt factory in Glens Falls. Now, the classes are taught by Larry Benjamin and will run until August 4. And the class focuses on making a particular model of canoe. It's called a wee lass. Now, we spoke to Larry about the class.
We're working particularly on the Wee Lassie boat. It's a famous canoe for the Adirondack area. It was attributed to opening the Adirondack Park to the common person because you no longer had to have a guide and a guide boat and all of those expenses. You could take this boat, which is light enough. Our boats come out around 20 pounds, light enough to carry on a portage with your pack and virtually go wherever you want to go.
Very cool. Now, the executive director of the Folk School, Scott Hayden, will be on the show for an interview Wednesday. Up next, I sit down with Sarah Fisk. She's executive director for Children's Museum in Saratoga, and she's here to talk about Big Truck Day. And that's happening at Maple Avenue School this coming Saturday. I also sit down with Sandy Arnold. She's on the board of directors for the Pitney Meadows Community Farm, vice chair of an event called the Fire Feast. And we're joined by Dan Forbush. He's a chair of the community outreach for the farm, and they're here to talk about the upcoming Fire Feast on the farm that's happening tomorrow. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea. How about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I've got some lookouts, and also it's Monday, so we take this opportunity to look ahead. Another very eventful week here on Look Media. Chad Rabinovitz from the Adirondack Theater Festival will be in. Give us an update on how the season is going up there. Scott Hayden, Adirondack Folk School, will be in. Always a wonderful interview with Scott. Talk about all of the different events and classes that are being held at the school. We're going to be over at SPAC this week for two very interesting things. One with Yo-Yo Ma about the cello, and then the other is an orchestra rehearsal. Elise Stefanik, our congresswoman, is part of a Veterans Roundtable that's being held at SUNY Adirondack at the Wilton campus, and we'll be there for that. And Mayor Joanne Yepsen. So, wow, quite a week. Over the weekend, it was a wonderful weekend, out and about all over the place. And one of the wonderful things about viewers is, they'll stare at you for a couple of minutes, and then they'll approach you. I was over at the track in the morning with my wife, and the security guard just held her arms out and gave me a big hug. I've never had that happen before. And then later on in the day, I just met two of the nicest people, Caesar and Krista, over at the local on the lake. And we got involved in this wonderful conversation, sat at the bar. Caesar there has got to be a little more careful with the chariot. He had a biking accident, 10-speed. You got to be careful when you're biking for sure. And Krista showed me photos of their beautiful children. So just all in all, just very, very nice weekend. Tonight, one more thing. Fire Feast, that fundraiser for the Pitney Meadows Farm, is tomorrow night. A really great event. Please take part if you can. And tonight on Look TV, we got Beyond the Headlines. We have a new one. Kerry Warner is coming in this week to record Beyond the Headlines for next week. And of course, our music show tracks. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.